Imagine waking up to find your favorite coffee costs twice as much. This shock is now reality for millions. Coffee prices have skyrocketed in just 1 year, and the reasons reveal a perfect storm of global challenges. From climate disasters crippling crops to shipping bottlenecks and labor shortages, every link in the supply chain is straining. Your morning cup tells a bigger story about interconnected economies under pressure. We'll break down how we reach this point, and what it means for your daily ritual, without the jargon. The journey from farm to cafe has never been more fragile or more fascinating. The $4 coffee nightmare. You're not imagining it. Your coffee habit just got more expensive. The price of Arabica coffee beans hit a 48-year high last month, with prices soaring from $1.20 per pound in 2020 to over $2.60 today. A 117% spike in under 3 years. Even industry veterans say they've never seen jumps like this before. Picture this. That $3.50 latte from last year now costs $5 or more. Your favorite $12 bag of premium beans? Try $20. It's like watching a roller coaster climb, except there's no thrill, just your wallet getting lighter. This isn't temporary inflation, says Maria Perez, a 20-year coffee buyer. Structural supply chain changes mean prices may never return to what we called normal. The numbers back her up. Commercial shops spend 25 to 30% of revenue just on beans, so when wholesale costs double, your cup takes the hit. Even instant coffee and cold brew trace back to the same strained supply. Baristas feel the heat too. I get yelled at daily, says Jamal from a Chicago shop. People think we're greedy, but our costs rose 40% this year. We raise prices or go under. His frustration mirrors the bigger picture. Every link in the chain, from farms to shipping containers, is breaking. Here's what hurts most. Home brewing isn't the escape it used to be. Green coffee costs for roasters have spiked just as sharply. That $15 bag lasting 2 weeks now runs $25. The warning signs started in 2021 with rising futures, but most consumers only felt it by 2023. Inflation always hits wholesale first, then your morning ritual. The uncomfortable truth. This isn't about greed. It's about a system under siege. Coffee shops operate on razor-thin margins, averaging just 2 to 3% profit. When costs explode, they've got no cushion. Your local spot isn't getting rich. It's fighting to keep the lights on. Think of coffee as the canary in the coal mine for inflation. Like gas prices, its daily purchase makes spikes painfully visible. But here's the kicker. The same forces driving up your latte, climate-wrecked farms, shipping chaos, rising labor costs, are hitting everything from bread to electricity. Coffee just shows it first. Customers ask when prices will drop, Jamal says. I tell them they're waiting for a ghost. The $3 latte isn't coming back. Why? The damage is permanent. Key growing regions are climate casualties. Pandemic shipping snarls linger. Workers demand fair wages after years of stagnation. Every step, from fertilizer to brewing, got pricier. Next time you balk at a $5 cold brew, remember, less than 50 cents is profit. The rest? Swallowed by forces no cafe can control. Your morning cup became the ultimate inflation gauge because it touches every pressure point: commodities, transport, labor. When one falters, coffee reacts fast. So no, you're not imagining the sting. That daily grind, it's now your personal economic dashboard. And here's what should really unsettle you. If coffee's this vulnerable, what's next? The same storm is coming for everything else. It's just moving slower. Now let's talk about why farms can't keep up. Because what's happening to growers might surprise you, and explain why prices keep climbing. Climate change brews trouble. The first reason your coffee costs more? Climate change is wrecking coffee farms. Look at Brazil, where half the world's Arabica beans grow. Last year's drought was the worst in a century. Coffee trees need specific conditions: altitude, temperature, rainfall. Brazil's coffee belt got none of that. Output dropped 30% in key regions. While one region battles drought, another struggles with floods. Vietnam produces most of the world's Robusta beans, used in instant coffee and espresso blends. Record floods washed away entire harvests, leaving farmers with nothing. Fernando, a third-generation Brazilian grower, holds up 2 photos of his family's land. The first shows healthy coffee trees in neat rows. The second reveals a wasteland of withered plants. The rains came 2 months late, he explains, wiping sweat from his brow. Then frost finished what the drought started. My grandfather never saw weather like this. These weren't isolated events. The UN predicts more extreme weather for coffee regions. Rising temperatures force farms uphill. Colombia's coffee belt already climbed 150 meters since 1980. But mountains don't grow taller. There's simply less land for coffee. Each year, climate models show coffee growing areas shrinking dramatically. By 2050, half of today's coffee land may become unusable. Meanwhile, global demand keeps rising, especially in China and India where coffee culture booms. The plants themselves are struggling. Arabica needs 15 to 24 degrees Celsius year-round. Just a few degrees warmer and yields drop. Pests like the coffee berry borer beetle, which costs farmers $500 million yearly, now thrive in previously cool highlands. Weather shocks create unpredictable supply. Traditionally, a bad year in Brazil meant good prices could cover losses next season. Now disasters strike everywhere simultaneously. There's no reliable backup anymore. In Central America, many farmers abandon coffee for citrus or city jobs. The work becomes unbearable. Harvesting in extreme heat sickens workers, while younger generations seek less brutal work. The average coffee farmer is now 60 years old in many regions. Even good weather years produce less. Rising nighttime temperatures disrupt plant metabolism, creating bland, low-quality beans. The subtle floral notes in Ethiopian varieties? Those come from specific climate conditions, now disappearing. Research stations race to develop heat-resistant hybrids, but it takes 20 to 30 years to breed new varieties. Climate shifts outpace the science. Some high-altitude regions could become tomorrow's coffee hotspots, but planting new farms takes years. Trees need 3 to 5 years to bear fruit. Insurance costs tell the story. Premiums tripled in a decade, putting coverage out of reach for most small growers. They gamble each season against worsening odds. Big brands like Nestle hedge by stockpiling years' worth of coffee, while small roasters bid against each other for shrinking supplies. The damage compounds over years. Stressed trees produce less even if weather improves. Many Brazilian farms still haven't recovered from 2021's frost. Processing presents new challenges too. Water shortages mean beans ferment too long, ruining flavor. Some farms now truck in water at enormous cost. Climate refugees emerge from coffee lands. Guatemalan farmers arrive at the U.S. border after 5 straight years of crop failures. Fair trade premiums meant to help now seem laughable. A few cents more per pound can't compensate for total harvest failure. The hard truth: current price hikes don't reflect future scarcity. Once reliable regions may stop producing entirely. Then today's prices will seem cheap. Your coffee habit's future depends on 2 things: emission cuts and whether science can develop resilient crops fast enough. Neither looks promising so far. Climate models agree coffee will become more expensive, rarer, and possibly worse tasting. But the supply chain has equally big problems. The broken supply chain. The journey from coffee farm to your cup used to be straightforward. Now it's a gauntlet of delays and markups. That bag of beans travels through at least 12 sets of hands before reaching you, and every step adds cost. Ocean shipping, the first domino falls. Start with shipping containers. A container from Colombia to Miami cost $2,500 pre-pandemic. Today, try $6,800 if you can even find one. Port backups mean beans sit for weeks instead of days. We've had shipments delayed 45 days just waiting to unload, says a Miami importer. By then, the quality tanks. Land transport, a house of cards. The domino effect continues on land. Trucking costs soared 35% last year alone due to diesel prices, while rail transport from West Coast ports to Chicago now takes 12 days instead of 5. When beans bake in sidings for days, the flavor profile changes, says a quality control manager. Many smaller trucking firms folded, leaving fewer drivers competing for loads. Storage and labor. The squeeze tightens. Warehousing costs spiked 25% nationally, with cold storage up 40% in coffee hubs. We used to turn inventory in 30 days, says a distributor. Now we need 90 days storage. Labor shortages compound the problem. Ports operate at 60% staffing. Trucking lacks 80,000 drivers, and warehouses can't find forklift operators despite offering $25 per hour starting wages. Global chaos, local consequences. Geopolitics adds fuel to the fire. The The Red Sea crisis forces Ethiopian coffee to sail around Africa, adding 14 days and $2,000 per container. Cross-border shipments from Mexico slowed due to new customs rules adding 8 hours of paperwork per load. Meanwhile, fuel surcharges swing unpredictably. Trucking surcharges now average 42% versus 15% historically. The breaking points: equipment shortages plague every step. Shipping containers remain scarce, pallets cost 60% more, and even warehouse robotics sit idle due to lack of maintenance techs. Our $2 million automation system is down half the time, admits a distribution manager. Roasters face impossible choices. Pay 40% more for air freight or risk stale inventory. Microlot coffees suffer most. Some containers get rejected when beans bake so long they taste like cardboard. Transport damage reports increased fourfold, with one roaster receiving moldy beans after a container got stuck in Vietnam during monsoon season. The math behind your cup. Your $1 price hike breaks down like this. 37 cents covers higher bean costs, 28 cents goes to transport, 19 cents funds warehouse and labor increases. Just 16 cents ends up with the cafe, most disappearing into their own rising costs. The system isn't getting better. Shipping alliances reduced capacity to prop up rates, trucking fleets shrank permanently, and warehouse rents won't drop. We built an efficient just-in-time system that can't handle shocks. Now coffee drinkers foot the bill, while farmers see almost none of these price increases. That's a story you need to hear. Farmers getting squeezed. Here's the shocking reality. While you pay record prices for coffee, the farmers growing those beans are barely surviving. The math doesn't add up. Farmers face 40% higher production costs, but only see a 10% increase in what they're paid. The middlemen take the rest. Take Carlos, a third-generation coffee farmer in Colombia. In 2019, it cost him 80 cents to produce 1 pound of coffee, which he sold for $1.20. Today, his costs jumped to $1.15 per pound, while buyers only pay him $1.32. I work harder than my grandfather did, he says, but make less money in real terms. His profit margin collapsed from 50% to 15%, and that's before accounting for inflation. The financial squeeze is brutal. Fertilizer prices tripled since 2020. Diesel for farm equipment doubled. Labor costs 30% more because younger workers refuse to pick coffee for poverty wages. Rodrigo, a Honduran farm owner, explains. A coffee picker earns $5 per day here. Construction jobs pay $15. Nobody wants this backbreaking work anymore. The result? Farmers bear soaring costs while buyers pocket the difference. Many face impossible choices. Maria from Guatemala switched half her land to avocados last year. Coffee takes 3 years for the first harvest, she says. Avocados pay in 18 months and need less care. Her neighbor now grows coca for drug cartels. It pays 10 times more than coffee with guaranteed buyers. The middleman system steals most of the value. For every $5 latte you buy, the cafe keeps $1 after expenses. The roaster takes $1.50. Exporters and importers pocket $1.80. The farmer gets about 20 cents, just 4%. That ratio worsened as prices rose. Supply chain chaos compounds the crisis. Farmers used to get paid 30 days after delivery. Now some wait 90 days as buyers struggle with cash flow. We need money immediately for next season's supplies, says Jorge, a Nicaraguan farmer. Banks won't lend to small coffee growers anymore. Many sell to loan sharks at 50% below market rates just to survive. Climate change adds crushing uncertainty. Ernesto in Costa Rica used to reliably produce 200 bags annually. After 3 bad harvests, he's down to 90 bags. Insurance won't cover climate losses, he explains. They say it's an act of God. His farm may not survive another year. Some cooperatives help farmers bypass middlemen. The fair trade premium adds 20 cents per pound, but certification costs $3,000 upfront. It's a gamble, says cooperative leader Luisa. You hope buyers will pay extra, but many just want cheap beans. Only 25% of fair trade coffee actually sells at premium prices. Big brands lock in prices through futures contracts. Starbucks buys years ahead at fixed rates. When prices spike, farmers don't benefit. We're trapped, says Bolivian grower Diego. The contracts protect buyers, not us. Warehousing issues steal profits too. Juan in Peru lost 15% of his crop last year when a shipping delay left bags in humid storage. The buyer downgraded his premium beans to commercial grade, a 40% pay cut. No insurance covers loss of quality, he says. The generational shift spells doom. Young people flee coffee regions entirely. My sons drive Ubers in Bogota, says Colombian farmer Hector. They earn triple what I make, with no risk of crop failure. The average coffee farmer in Latin America is now 57 years old, up from 48 a decade ago. Abandoned farms create a vicious cycle. In Mexico's Chiapas region, 20% of coffee land lies fallow. That reduces global supply, but middlemen keep the profits. We get the same $1.30 whether there's a shortage or not, complains grower Alejandro. Technology could help but rarely reaches small farms. Soil sensors cost $500 each, half a year's income for many. NGOs demo fancy gadgets, says Guatemalan farmer Rosa, then leave. We're stuck with machetes and hope. The coming crisis is inevitable. Experts predict a 30% drop in coffee farmers by 2030. My kids won't do this, says Costa Rican farmer Gabriela. When my generation quits, who grows your coffee? Your morning brew depends on an economic injustice. Farmers bear all the risks, climate, pests, market swings, while capturing almost none of the rewards. The system rigs itself against them at every turn. And here's what nobody tells you. When farmers disappear, supply will vanish entirely in some regions. Coffee takes years to grow. You can't just flip a switch when shortages hit. The irony? You probably tip your barista more than the farmer earned for those beans. That $1 tip could represent 5 days' wages for the person who grew the coffee. Now consider your local cafe's dilemma. They're getting crushed too, but not for the reasons you think. While farmers starve, coffee shops aren't exactly thriving either. The next link in this broken chain might surprise you. Coffee shops on life support. That locally owned coffee shop you love? They're raising prices because they have to. The Specialty Coffee Association reports 60% of independent cafes currently operate at a loss. That's survival mode. Walk into any small coffee shop today, and you'll see the owner juggling multiple roles: barista, accountant, janitor. Their espresso machine runs nonstop, but the math still doesn't work. Here's why. Your $5 latte leaves just $2 for everything else after beans, milk, and cups. And those costs keep climbing faster than sales. Take Sarah, who owns a cafe in Austin. Her rent jumped from $4,000 to $5,200 monthly since 2020. Last summer's AIC bills hit $1,800 a month. We opened windows instead, she told me. But customers complained about the heat. Baristas who made $12 per hour pre-pandemic now demand $18 plus benefits. A typical shop with 5 employees spends $14,000 monthly on payroll, up from $9,500. Worker shortages force overtime. One Portland owner paid $2,300 in overtime last month just to maintain hours. Equipment costs are relentless. That $20,000 espresso machine needs $400 monthly servicing, up from $250. A Chicago owner explained. Our grinder blades now last 12 months instead of 18 from overuse. That's an extra $1,200 yearly we didn't plan for. Here's the impossible choice. Raise prices and lose customers, or keep them and bleed money. A Brooklyn cafe owner shared her dilemma. At $5 cold brew, sales dropped 20%. At $4.50, we lost money per cup. There's no right answer. Quality cuts follow. One roaster switched to cheaper paper filters, saving 8 cents per cup, but changing the taste. Others reduced staff hours, creating longer lines that drive business away. A Minnesota shop used fewer espresso shots until regulars noticed. Big chains operate differently. Starbucks absorbs costs across 16,000 locations. When milk prices spike 40%, they negotiate bulk deals. Indies pay retail. That half gallon of oat milk costs chains $2.10, but locals $4.80 at Costco. Even loyal customers pull back. A Denver cafe tracked behavior after a 15% price hike. Daily regulars became twice-weekly visitors. Those $5 daily lattes turned into $10 weekly treats for budget-conscious drinkers. Seasonal swings hit harder. Summer iced coffee sales once offset slow winters. Now summers barely break, even while winters devastate. A Seattle owner's July profits were 60% below 2019, despite higher sales. Delivery apps take a brutal cut. That $6 latte on DoorDash nets the shop $3 after fees. Yet skipping apps means losing visibility. A Los Angeles owner said, "We pay 30% commission just to stay relevant. Delivery is 40% of sales, but only 15% of profit. New regulations add pressure." A Philadelphia cafe spent $8,000 upgrading ventilation with hospital-grade filters. "Our old system passed inspections for years," the owner said. "Now we're stuck with triple the cost. Every ounce counts now." A Boston shop weighs coffee grounds after each shot, saving $360 monthly. Another measures milk to the milliliter. Pre-pandemic waste is now unaffordable luxury. The stress is crushing. Industry surveys show 70% of owners face severe stress, up from 40% in 2019. A New Orleans owner admitted, "I haven't taken a paycheck in 6 months. One bad month and we're done." Financing options vanished. Banks deny 75% of coffee shop loan applications. Approved loans carry 12% interest, double pre-pandemic rates. Many resort to merchant cash advances at 30% rates. This thin margin paints a stark reality. The industry predicts 30% of independents will close by 2025. The pattern repeats: cut hours first, then stop restocking, until a for lease sign appears overnight. Failed cafes disappear quietly. There's no bankruptcy filing when a sole proprietor quits, just a locked door and a text to staff. "Your barista knows the score." "We're grief counselors now," joked one veteran worker. "Customers complain about prices while we wonder if we'll have jobs next month." Most shops operate on 3% margins. When costs rise 20%, a 5% price hike doesn't cover it. That $6 drink might net the owner 30 cents. This is about every small business facing impossible math. Coffee shops just show the crisis first because they're everywhere. Next time you see a price hike, remember, that extra dollar isn't profit, it's buying time. And time is running out. Your morning brew is the warning sign. The question is, where does this end? Coffee as economic crystal ball. Your morning latte serves as the economy's earliest warning system. Coffee prices move first because their supply chain touches every economic pressure point. What happens to your coffee today hits everything else in your shopping cart tomorrow. Take the 2021 price surge as an example. When coffee spiked that January due to Brazilian frosts, milk prices followed by June. The same frosts later damaged orange crops, causing OJ prices to jump in 2022. This pattern holds across decades. Coffee futures predicted 8 of the last 10 inflation surges, typically 6 to 9 months early. The coffee canary effect works because coffee grows in developing nations but sells in wealthy ones. Its journey passes through every transport pinch point, with labor-intensive steps from farm to cup. When global costs rise, whether fuel, wages, or climate shocks, coffee reflects it immediately. Break down your $5 latte. Just 8 cents covers the beans. The rest accounts for rising costs of cups, labor, and overhead, the same non-commodity expenses driving 85% of grocery prices. Unlike shrinkflation tactics, smaller burritos at unchanged prices, or tech's hidden component swaps, coffee can't mask inflation. Bad beans can't be blended away without tasting worse. Transport costs reveal the mechanism clearly. Moving Ethiopian beans to Chicago now costs triple 2019 rates. The same math applies to sneakers and appliances, but corporations temporarily absorb those costs. Coffee's short shelf life forces instant price adjustments, while durable goods delay the hit. Watch 3 signals in coffee prices to forecast broader inflation. 1. Farm costs. When bean prices jump but transport stays flat, expect agricultural shortages, like 2021's Brazilian frosts. 2. Shipping rates. Parallel increases in beans and transport signal coming energy crises. See 2008's oil-linked surge. 3. Labor hikes. Rising wages for pickers, up 20% in 2023, precede service sector increases, now hitting Amazon warehouses. The COVID supply chain collapse demonstrated this timeline perfectly. Coffee imports slowed first due to pallet shortages in Q2 2020. By Q4, when furniture stores ran empty, coffee shops had already raised prices twice. Those delays create the illusion coffee leads inflation. It's actually just the first visible symptom. Current data suggests persistent trouble. Brazil's 2024 harvest forecasts remain weak, Vietnam faces flooding, and shipping lanes stay disrupted. These aren't coffee-specific issues. They're macroeconomic storms hitting all global trade. The ICO Composite Price Index has climbed for 11 straight months, a reliable predictor that broader inflation will follow by late 2024. Smart investors use coffee futures to hedge other commodities. When beans spike, traders buy wheat and oil contracts knowing those markets will react later. The same principle applies to personal finance. A sustained rise in coffee prices suggests it's time to lock in fixed mortgage rates or buy inflation-protected bonds. Your local coffee shop mirrors larger trends. Those now hiring, signs with raised wages? Every retailer faces that pressure. The discounted loyalty program? Companies everywhere trade margins for customer retention. Even the switch to cheaper napkins reflects broader corporate cost-cutting. The takeaway: next time your barista explains a price hike, recognize it as an early alert. Coffee doesn't cause inflation. It reveals systemic cost pressures that will eventually hit all products. The question isn't whether other prices will follow, but when. This real-time transparency makes coffee uniquely valuable. While governments debate lagging indicators like quarterly GDP reports, your morning brew shows today's economic truth. When Brazil's frost-spiked coffee prices, they were forecasting the orange juice shortage 18 months out. The canary was already singing. Now consider how policy interventions distort these signals. Tariffs on Brazilian beans or carbon taxes on shipping don't just raise coffee prices. They accelerate the inflationary
premium
cycle
single
across
origin
all
coffee
goods.
you love?
That's the
Your
hidden
government
cost
just
of
made it
ignoring what
significantly
coffee
more
tells us
expensive.
early. New tariffs slapped a 25% tax on imported green coffee beans last quarter, an unexpected tax storm hitting specialty roasters hardest. Customs documents show the immediate impact. Guatemalan geisha beans that cost $6.50 per pound now carry an extra $1.63 tariff. For small roasters buying 1,000 pounds monthly, that's $1,630 in unbudgeted costs. Unlike gradual price increases from inflation or climate change, these tariffs arrived overnight with no phase-in period. The policy disproportionately targets high-end coffees. Bulk Brazilian beans get exemptions through trade deals, while rare microlots from Ethiopia or Panama face full tariffs. We specialize in African coffees, says Minneapolis roaster Carlos. Our costs jumped overnight while Starbucks barely noticed. His dilemma mirrors industry-wide choices. 1. Absorb costs and slash already thin 4 to 6% profit margins. 2. Raise prices and risk losing customers. 3. Switch to lower quality beans. Most roasters combine these approaches. We raised prices 10% and downgraded 2 single origin offerings, explains Sarah from Denver. Regulars noticed immediately. The tariffs' political justification baffles coffee professionals. They were meant to protect American coffee growers, yet the U.S. produces less than 0.1% of global supply, mostly experimental Hawaiian farms. It's like taxing French wine to help California vineyards, jokes importer Mark, except we don't even make coffee here. Customs data reveals the policy generated $380 million last quarter, paid largely by small businesses and consumers. Supply chain disruptions emerged instantly. Specialty importers reduced orders from tariff-heavy countries like Colombia and Kenya. We're sitting on our best harvest ever, texts Costa Rican producer Diego. Buyers offer 30% below market rate because of tariffs. Some roasters exploit loopholes like importing roasted beans, 20% lighter, thus cheaper to tax. We pay to ship air, admits San Francisco's Lisa, but it saves money. The policy punishes small businesses most. Chains blend tariff costs across thousands of shipments, while indies feel every dollar. Our $15 bags became $18 overnight, says Texas roaster Javier. At $18, customers think twice. Warehousing costs compound the pain. Smaller, frequent orders mean double the receiving fees for the same volume. Bizarre incentives emerge. Ethiopian exporter Tumrit now processes specialty beans into instant coffee to avoid higher tariffs. We're destroying value. Our premium beans become Nescafe-grade powder. Political theater continues as Senator Warren's questioning of the Agriculture Secretary yielded vague talk of protecting American jobs, ignoring that coffee roasting employs 120,000 Americans versus a handful of Hawaiian farms. Real-world consequences multiply. Subscription services cancel rare coffees. We dropped our Yemeni offering. Cafes simplify menus. No rotating single-origin espresso. Quality declines. Can't afford 90-plus point lots anymore. The timing couldn't be worse. Farmers already face 30% higher production costs from climate change. This was the last straw, says Nicaraguan grower Maria. Many neighbors switched to cocoa. Some importers attempt tariff hopping by routing Colombian coffee through Panama, but customs cracks down hard. We owed $8,000 in back tariffs after one shipment, admits Boston's Derek. Retail psychology exacerbates the problem. Consumers accept gradual increases, but balk at sudden jumps. We spent years training customers to pay $18 for exceptional bags, says Oakland's Raj. Now we ask $23 and they walk away. Informal coffee clubs emerge, pooling orders to hit container-sized exemptions. We're basically smuggling Guatemalan beans, laughs Seattle's Nina. Supply chain data confirms the backfire. High-quality bean imports dropped 17% last quarter, says MIT's Dr. Chen, while commodity-grade imports from exempt countries rose 9%. Farmers adapt in troubling ways. Colombian growers now blend premium beans with lower-grade coffee to qualify as commercial. We deliberately ruin our best coffee to avoid tariffs, admits farmer Luis. Direct trade relationships collapse under new paperwork burdens. The tariff code requires 6 new forms per shipment, explains importer Naomi. Our tiny Ethiopia order isn't worth the hassle. That $6 per over's price hike isn't cafe greed. It's political theater, harming the very workers it claims to protect. Yet entrepreneurs adapt, with some marketing tariff-free coffees as luxury products, potentially reshaping the industry. Specialty coffees pivot. The specialty coffee world's crisis has sparked a wave of reinvention, and the most creative responses are coming from roasters who refuse to play by the old rules. While some shops fold, others are building entirely new value propositions that make $30 bags of. Beans feel like smart investments rather than splurges. LA-based roaster Marco starts every customer conversation differently now. We show how our Ethiopian lot funds a school in that village. People happily pay $5 more when they know it keeps farmers from switching to coca. His direct trade line sells out faster than ever despite 40% higher prices. This shift works because roasters cut out every middleman. Chicago's Amina FaceTimes farmers during harvest and shows customers blockchain payment transfers. Total transparency equals trust equals willingness to pay, she explains. The math justifies it. $12 goes to farmers, up from $7 pre-crisis. $8 covers tariffs, $6 handles roasting, leaving $4 profit. Personal stories power the premium. Nicaraguan farmer Carlos once couldn't sell heat-damaged crops. Now he partners with a chemist to create carbon-negative coffee by charring damaged beans into biochar fertilizer, charging triple for what was once trash. Taste perceptions are changing too. At a Denver cupping event, 68% preferred a $28 per pound climate-adapted Brazilian over a $45 per pound traditional Ethiopian. The best coffee now isn't what textbooks say it should be, observes Q. Grader Hannah. It's whatever survives the new normal while tasting remarkable. Subscription models evolved into safety nets. Portland's Deadstock offers climate reserve memberships. Customers pay up front for next year's crop at today's prices. We lock in 80% of the farm's harvest. They get working capital. Everyone hedges against chaos, says owner Derek. Their retention rate hit 94% versus 60% for conventional plans. The market is splitting decisively. San Francisco's Lucia lost 30% of casual buyers when hitting $25 per bag, but core customers bought 20% more. They're investing in coffee like wine now, she says. Her shop's revenue grew 5% despite fewer transactions. Baristas now train in climate storytelling. You can't just say this tastes like blueberries, laughs NYC trainer Javier. We explain how Brazilian frosts create unexpected stone fruit notes. His trainees see 15% higher tips using these techniques. Cold brew became innovation's testing ground. Blue Bottle uses enzymatic fermentation to mimic high-altitude acidity in low-grade beans. If we only used pre-2020 standards, cold brew would cost $12 a can, argues food scientist Dr. Park. The green coffee market rewards stability. Ethiopian exporter Nardos notes buyers now prioritize climate points alongside quality scores. They'll take slightly lower quality if they know the farm can deliver next year. Radical transparency builds trust. Delaware's Brandywine posts full cost breakdowns in stores, including which costs rose most each quarter. When people see dairy costs spike 200%, they complain less about milk alternatives, says owner Tom. Their oat milk adoption hit 83% versus 45% industry-wide. Tech startups accelerate adaptation. Silo's AI predicts which processing methods work best for stressed crops. Cropster software helps roasters adjust profiles hourly based on bean moisture changes. We rebuild the playbook daily, says engineer Sanjay. The luxury market leans in. A London cafe serves $95 cups using pre-climate change vaulted beans. In Tokyo, vintage 2018 harvests trade like Bordeaux. Collector May shrugs. If people pay $800 for bourbon, why not coffee? Education programs adapt fastest. The SCA's Climate Resilience certification teaches baristas to communicate crop challenges. Cafes using these materials report 22% fewer complaints. The divide grows starker. Target stocks $14 climate-adapted bags while ultra-premium shops remove price tags entirely. If you need to ask, you're not our customer, says a Miami owner with $38 average tickets. Startup founder Priya frames it best. We're not selling a product, we're funding adaptation. Her blockchain tracks how each purchase funds specific farm upgrades, driving 300% sales growth despite $35 price points. Your morning brew now carries survival stories. The floral Kenyan that endured drought, the chocolate Colombian that overcame tariffs. The roasters thriving today don't hide these struggles. They make them the main event. And here's where this leaves you. While the coffee elite debate terroir and tech, your wallet still hurts. The good news, you've got options. From home brewing hacks to hidden subscription deals, the next segment shows exactly how to fight back. Because understanding inflation is step one. Beating it? That's what matters. Brewing smarter at home. Let's talk about how your kitchen can save your coffee budget. That $5 latte costs about 75 cents to make at home. Seems obvious, right? But most people don't realize how much they're overspending until they see the math. Here's the breakdown for a cafe latte asterisk, 18G coffee beans, 35 cents. 8-ounce milk, 40 cents. Power/cleaning, 5 cents. Total cost, $0.80. You're paying 500% markup for steamed milk. And that's before inflation hit cafes. The equipment myth asterisk, you don't need a $3,000 espresso machine. A $20 French press makes coffee just as good, sometimes better. Even a starter setup pays for itself fast. French press, $25. Gooseneck kettle, $35. Basic grinder, $40. Scale, $15. Total, $1.15. That's 23 cafe lattes. Drink one a day, and you break even in under a month. After that, every cup saves you $4.20. Over a year, $1, $500 back in your pocket. Quality isn't sacrificed, it's improved. Cafe baristas make hundreds of drinks daily. You make one or two. Within weeks, you'll dial in your perfect cup. No more guessing if the barista got it right. Take Derek, a home brewer who buys Jamaican Blue Mountain in bulk when it's cheap. Asterisk, 6 months later, when cafes charge $10 a cup, I'm drinking it for pennies. Asterisk, bulk buying changes everything. Asterisk, $20 bag at Whole Foods, $12 if you buy 5 pounds direct. Store beans in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers. They'll stay fresh for months. Freeze vacuum-sealed beans, and they'll taste fresh for half a year. Different methods, different savings. Asterisk, pour over. Cafe quality, less equipment. AeroPress, great for travel. Cold brew, steep overnight, one batch lasts a week. Pro Move asterisk, roasted bean subscriptions. Many roasters offer 20% discounts for automatic shipments. Portland's Amy explains, asterisk, we charge $18 retail but $14 for subscribers. It guarantees we don't waste inventory. Asterisk, the learning curve, almost flat. Asterisk, YouTube tutorials teach perfect French press technique in under 5 minutes. Dialing in grind size takes a few tries. Soon, you'll wonder why you ever waited in line. Time savings add up. Asterisk, average coffee shop visit, 7 minutes. At home, 3 minutes active time. Annual savings, 100 plus hours, 2 work weeks. Espresso hack asterisk, a $70 mocha pot makes strong coffee that fools most people. Add a $30 milk frother, and you've got lattes for 1/10 cafe prices. Advanced savings asterisk, green beans cost $3 to $7 per pound. Home roasting? Just a $20 popcorn maker. Hobbyist Mark says, asterisk, my $5 per pound home roasted barley tastes better than $30 boutique bags. Asterisk water matters asterisk, cafe systems cost thousands. At home, a $20 filter fixes 90% of issues. Cafe secret asterisk, their profit relies on fast, cheap methods. Your $5 latte often uses stale-ish beans blasted through dirty equipment. At home, every cup gets fresh ground precision. Maintenance costs vanish asterisk. Cafe machines need $500 yearly servicing. Your French press? Just dish soap. Environmental perks asterisk. No disposable cups. No gas wasted driving to cafes. One reusable filter replaces thousands of paper ones. Subscription bonuses asterisk. Trade coffee's referrals get you free bags. Loyalty points cover gear. Subscriber Elena says, asterisk, I haven't paid for equipment in years. Asterisk batch brewing saves mornings asterisk. Program your machine the night before. Cold brew concentrate lasts a week. Just add water or milk. The psychological shift asterisk. Once you realize cafes charge $5 for 80 cents of ingredients, you'll never feel guilty about skipping the line. Pro Tools at home asterisk. $100 fellow Opus grinder uses tech from $2,500 commercial models. $50 scales measure like $300 lab equipment. Upfront costs versus time asterisk, a $300 setup sounds pricey, but if it saves you 30 minutes weekly, you're effectively paying yourself $40 per hour. The best part, total control. Asterisk asterisk, you choose the beans, roast, water, and temperature. No more bitter shots from distracted baristas. Bonus perks asterisk. Hosting friends with homemade lattes beats Starbucks runs. Coffee knowledge impresses dates. Home roaster Jess admits, asterisk, I can't drink shop coffee anymore. Once you taste proper extraction, there's no going back. Asterisk, the math doesn't lie. Home brewing beats cafes on cost and quality. The initial effort pays lifetime dividends. Visualize this asterisk, imagine an animated infographic showing your $1,500 annual savings stacking up against cafe receipts. The numbers speak for themselves. Your coffee habit just became a crash course in beating inflation. Spot the middlemen, cut them out, and take back control. The principles apply to everything: groceries, gas, even subscriptions. How much more could you save? The answer might surprise you. Subscription savings secret. Here's how coffee drinkers save 20% without cutting quality. Subscriptions. While you stand in line paying $20 per bag, savvy buyers get the same beans for $16 just by signing up for automatic deliveries. This isn't some hidden trick. It's how roasters prefer to do business, yet most customers never ask about it. Roasters love subscriptions because they solve their biggest headache: cash flow. With subscriptions, I know exactly how much coffee to roast each Thursday, explains Dallas roaster Marco. Before this model, we'd either run out or waste leftover beans. That predictability lets them offer discounts, typically 15 to 30% off retail prices. You save money. They reduce waste. Everyone wins. Let's break down the savings on a typical 12-ounce bag. Retail price, $19. Subscription price, $15.20, 20% off. Annual savings if you buy monthly, $45.60. Subscription tiers unlock deeper discounts like a secret vault of savings. Here's how major roasters compare. Commitment level discount price on $19 bag. Flexible, skip anytime, 15%, $16.15. Six-month locked, 25%, $14.25. One-year prepay, 30%, $13.30. At the highest tier, your coffee costs less than Starbucks wholesale beans. People think they're getting hacked beans, laughs Deadstock Coffee owner Derek. It's the exact same product, we just reward customers who help us plan. Freshness improves too. Subscription beans ship immediately after roasting, while retail bags often sit on shelves. Our sub-members get Tuesday's roast on Wednesday, says Chicago's Amina. The difference shows in the cup. Subscribers report noticeably brighter flavors. Frequency options cater to every drinker. Light, every 6 weeks 12 ounces for occasional drinkers. Standard, monthly 12-ounce covers, 2 cups daily. Heavy, every 2 weeks 2 pounds for households. Most roasters let you pause or modify deliveries with one click. Going on vacation? Delay your shipment. Family visiting? Double up temporarily. The best programs offer creative perks. Free shipping at 3+ bags. Exclusive subscriber-only lots. Surprise me flavor options. Corporate accounts reveal the true savings. Tech companies report 35 to 50% savings versus retail. Our Google rep gets Ethiopian heirloom for less than Pete's charges for basic Colombian, whispers a Silicon Valley barista. Smaller roasters use subscriptions for survival. When inflation hit, our retail sales dropped 40%, says Michigan's Amy. But subscriptions only dipped 5%. Her members now get handwritten thank you notes with personalized brewing tips. The sign-up process takes under 2 minutes. You pick 1. Bean type/roast level. 2. Grind preference. 3. Delivery frequency. 4. Payment method. Changing preferences takes seconds. Want to switch from Ethiopian to Guatemalan next month? Just log in and edit. Digital tools enhance the experience. Many roasters provide roast date tracking, brew guides tuned to each bean, community forums. The price protection proves priceless. When green coffee costs spiked last year, most roasters honored existing subscription rates for 6 to 12 months. We ate the loss, says San Francisco's Lucia. You don't punish loyalty. Mobile apps simplify management with features like shipment tracking, reordering favorites, chat with roasters. Referral programs double your savings. Get $10 off for every friend who signs up. Elena from Austin funds half her coffee this way. I just post my link in work Slack channels. The environmental upside matters too. Subscriptions mean fewer delivery miles, less packaging waste, optimized roast schedules. Smart roasters use data to please. They track which beans you rate highest, then adjust future selections. If someone loves fruity Ethiopians, we'll prioritize similar profiles, explains roaster Amy. The real kicker? These programs often offer better coffee than local cafes can source. While shops rely on bulk commodity beans, subscribers get first pick of artisan lots. My home coffee outclasses every shop in town now, brags subscriber Ryan. And the benefits extend beyond caffeine. That treat yourself feeling for $15 instead of $30 means more money for, well, anything else. Which brings us to the ultimate sustainable coffee pays off. One that makes your habits sustainable about sustainable while solving the very problems that extra dollar you spend today could save you $5 tomorrow. Farmers using climate-resistant methods are safeguarding your future coffee supply. Let's break down how this works through the story of Maria, a Nicaraguan farmer who almost lost everything. Maria's family farm survived back-to-back hurricanes when others failed, because her coffee grew under ancient guava trees that anchored the soil and blocked winds. The storms tore through our valley, but our shaded fields stood strong, she recalls. While neighbors lost entire harvests, Maria's yield stayed steady. That resilience comes from regenerative agriculture. Shade-grown techniques cost 15% more to establish, but prevent total losses when disasters strike. Direct trade cuts dozens of middlemen. Ethical brands like Devotion buy straight from farmers, paying 30 to 50% above commodity prices. Removing 8 layers of brokers actually makes coffee cheaper long-term. A typical bean changes hands 12 times before roasting, each step adding markup and risk. Direct trade simplifies this to 3 steps. Farmer, roaster you. Quality reduces waste in hidden ways. Poor beans require 25g per French press versus 18g of high grade. Over a year, that's 2.5 kilograms extra coffee bought just to compensate for low quality. Better beans cost more upfront, but last longer. Climate-adapted hybrids prevent future shortages. In Colombia, Carlos grows Castillo varieties that withstand heat waves. I harvest 80% of normal yield in bad years now, he says. Before it was 0. These seeds cost triple initially, but prevent total crop failure. Water management saves money downstream. Brazilian farms using precision irrigation use 60% less water while increasing yields. That $5,000 installation eliminates drought losses. Unlike California almonds, where water shortages caused 300% price spikes. Healthy soil retains 20% more moisture during droughts and requires less fertilizer, a cost that's tripled since 2020. Farms practicing organic composting spend $800 less per acre annually. That savings gets passed down to you. In Ethiopia, simple netting over coffee trees stopped 90% of insect damage without pesticides. Chemical-free farms avoid $400 per acre spraying costs, preventing price volatility. Shade-grown coffee buffers temperature swings. Costa Rican shaded farms experience 50% fewer frost events. The canopy holds heat overnight like a blanket protecting buds. Guatemalan farms earn $15 per ton of CO2 sequestered through reforestation. A medium farm generates $5,000 annually, enough to offset higher labor costs while keeping prices stable. Agroforestry systems future-proof farms. When coffee prices crashed in 2018, Colombian farmer Luis's mango trees paid workers. "The fruits saved us," she says. Diversification prevents desperation sales that destabilize markets. Fair trade minimums prevented disaster in 2019. Farmers received $1.40 per pound while others got 90 cents. That stability avoids boom-bust cycles, leading to shortages. Rwandan farmers using weather apps harvest early before storms. A $10 per year service prevents thousands in losses when unexpected rains arrive. Vietnamese farms turn coffee pulp into fertilizer and mushrooms, earning 15% more per acre. Seeing waste as income boosts profits. Farms with 10+ tree species suffer less pest damage. The variety creates habitats for natural predators. Costa Rican farms, using this, spend 70% less on pesticides. Solar-powered drying beds in Ethiopia cut fuel costs by 80%. The $3,000 installation pays for itself in 2 years, then becomes pure savings. Honduran farming collectives pool resources. When floods hit last year, the shared system kept coffee flowing instead of collapsing prices. The math is clear. Sustainable coffee costs 20% more today, but prevents 300% price spikes tomorrow. That $20 bag now could save you from $30 bags when disasters hit unprepared farms. This isn't charity, it's smart shopping. Like buying a quality appliance that lasts a decade, sustainable coffee gives better long-term value. Farmers win. The environment wins. Your wallet wins. Now let's connect these lessons to beating inflation across your entire budget. Because what works for your coffee applies to groceries, energy, even retirement accounts. Your morning cup holds financial wisdom you've been overlooking. Time to start reading the signs. Coffee's warning for your wallet. Your barista sees your financial future before you do. That $4 latte creeping up to $6? It's an early warning system for your entire budget. The same forces driving up your morning brew hit everything else in your life, just on a delay. Here's how to read the signals before it's too late. Coffee prices break down into clear components: beans, transport, labor, and overhead. This exact pattern repeats across your grocery bill, rent, and utilities. Coffee just shows you first. Economist Dr. Lira explains, coffee's rapid price. Adjustments make it the canary in the coal mine. Stubborn retail sectors take 12 to 18 months to reflect the same cost pressures. Take housing. Construction materials jump 35% since 2020, mirroring coffee bean spikes. Moving costs follow transport trends, and contractor wages rise like barista pay. Even property taxes function like cafe rent hikes. The math is identical, just bigger numbers. Here's how to use this. When coffee prices jump, ask. 1. What raw material increased? Beans equals wheat, livestock feed. 2. Which transport routes are affected? Same ships move everything. 3. Where did labor costs rise? Barista raises predict cashier wages. Energy works the same. Coffee needs fuel for farming and shipping, just like your gasoline. When diesel hits record highs, your latte and commute tank together. You notice coffee first because you buy it daily. Track these early indicators. Green coffee futures, rising equals trouble ahead. Baltic Dry Index, shipping costs. Farm wage reports. Last year's coffee spike predicted this summer's ice cream price jump. Both need dairy, sugar, and fuel, all facing identical climate and transport strains. The smartest consumers watch fast movers, like coffee, to anticipate slow movers. Here's a real example. When cold brew jumped 30% last winter, it signaled rising interest rates. Those who noticed could have locked in a fixed-rate mortgage before hikes hit. Clothing shows the delay clearly. Cotton futures moved with coffee last year, yet t-shirts took 12 extra months to reflect it. Early warning wasted. Services follow too. Your barista's 20% raise predicts your hairstylist's hike 6 months later. Same labor market, same pressure. Coffee shops can't hide costs. Salons buffer temporarily. Insurance is the scariest parallel. Coffee's climate losses forced policy hikes. Your homeowner's insurance faces identical payouts. Claims doubled since 2020. Premiums lagged, but are spiking now. Healthcare's twist. Coffee's transport woes mirror ambulance fuel surcharges. Complex billing hides increases longer. That $200 ER copay would have been $160 if you'd tracked EMS costs when coffee shops did. The playbook. 1. Identify rapid adjustment items, coffee, gas, eggs. 2. Note their cost components. 3. Expect identical increases in slower sectors. Utilities prove the pattern. Coffee needs energy for roasting. Your home needs it for AC. When Brazilian processors pay more for electricity, so will you one harvest cycle later. Spotting connections saves thousands. See these historical warnings. 2021 coffee shipping delays, 2022 car shortages. 2022 barista wage hikes, 2023 restaurant jumps. 2023 bean quality drops, 2024 chocolate shrinkflation. Even entertainment follows. Netflix raised prices after coffee shops absorbed new credit card fees. Same payment system upgrades. Your takeaway. Track 5 Canary, items weekly. Their increases reveal everything else's future. When oat milk lattes rise, expect oats, then beef, cattle eat oats, then pet food. The chain always connects. Your coffee cup holds clues most miss. Learn its language, and you'll see inflation coming early. Next time your barista sighs about supply costs, listen. They're handing you the cheat codes for your budget. Now let's build your inflation shield. Spotting trends is step 1. Beating them. That's where the real wins happen. Your coffee habit showed you the storm. Time to batten down. Tracking before the spike. Here's how to spot inflation before it hits your wallet. Most people notice price hikes when they're already screwed. You're about to learn how to see them coming months early. Using nothing fancier than a notes app, the 5-minute weekly inflation tracker *1. Pick 3 to 5 canary items: coffee, eggs, gas, fast food meal, toothpaste. 2. Every Sunday, record *, item plus size, e.g., Starbucks tall latte. Price. Location. 3. Watch for patterns *, 2 identical price hikes within a month equals trend. Packaging shrinking, 14 ounces versus 16-ounce latte, equals price jump coming. Regional differences. If eggs spike in Texas, your state's next. These items react first to cost changes. When eggs jump 30%, milk follows in 6 to 8 weeks. Gas spikes. Everything shipped by truck comes next. Coffee shops adjust prices within days. Groceries take months. Why this works * last June. Priya noticed her $4.50 cold brew jumped to $4.95. 3 months later, her grocery bill rose 18%. The connection. Both need plastic cups. Resin prices had spiked. Small weekly observations predict big shifts. Pro tips *. Focus on gatekeeper items, coffee, milk/sugar, gas, all trucked goods. Ignore temporary supply chain issue stickers. Look for permanent menu/price changes. Set Google Shopping alerts for online items. Photograph local price tags. When to act *. 3+ items rise 5% in a month. Stock up on non-perishables. Gas plus coffee plus eggs all jump. Freeze discretionary spending. Packaging shrinks on 2+. Items switch to bulk. The hidden clues * surcharge labels, shipping/fuel fees, always precede price hikes. Restaurant menus repricing faster than supermarkets. $1 $4.16 burger equals beef costs rising. Pharmacy items, toothpaste up 50 cents, signal plastic/shipping cost increases. Timing matters *, coffee/fast food. 2 to 4 weeks lag from wholesale to retail. Groceries, 6 to 10 weeks. Services, gyms, haircuts 6 to 12 months. Real-world example asterisk. Week 1, coffee up 10%, fuel surcharge appears. Week 5, gas stations add 30 cents per gallon fee. Week 13, grocery bill jumps 12%. The writing was on the wall at week 1. Free tools asterisk, price track, online grocery monitoring. Google Lens scan shelf tags. Shared spreadsheets with friends in other cities. Chicago, Miami, LA comparisons show nationwide trends. The payoff asterisk, buy tires before rubber prices jump. Renew subscriptions before rate hikes. Stock freezer before meat spikes. While others react, you'll prepare. Now let's talk about making your money grow faster than inflation. Because spotting trends is step 1. Profiting from them is the advanced move. Your weekly tracker just showed you the storm clouds. Time to build an arc. Investing like a coffee farmer. Coffee farmers play financial chess with the markets while you stress about rising prices. They've used simple tools to protect themselves for decades. Here's how to copy their moves in your portfolio. Farmers use futures contracts to lock in prices, and you can hedge inflation similarly with government-backed securities. Series I savings bonds adjust rates every 6 months based on CPI data, currently paying 5.27%, triple most savings accounts. Tips: Treasury inflation-protected securities work even better. Their principal rises with inflation. A $1,000 tips becomes $1,050 when inflation hits 5%, preserving buying power. Tips saved our retirement last year, says planner Marcos. While friends complained about inflation, our portfolio grew with it. Just as farmers diversify crops, balance your portfolio with commodities and real assets. The Invesco DB Agriculture Fund, DBA, tracks coffee to cattle. When food prices spike, so does your investment. Farmland platforms like AcreTrader offer 11% average returns with low stock correlation. My $5,000 coffee farm investment now covers my actual coffee habit, laughs investor Derek. REITs like Avalon Bay act as rent hedges, increasing payouts as housing costs rise, often yielding 4 to 5%. Coffee cooperatives pool risk, and your 401k should too. Dividend aristocrats like Coca-Cola pass costs to consumers, growing that 3% yield as prices rise. They're inflation ninjas, says investor Sarah. They quietly give you raises. Similarly, pipeline stocks like Enterprise Products Partners collect inflation-linked fees while paying 7 to 8% dividends. Analyst Ryan calls them toll roads for energy. Farmers stay liquid for market dips, and your emergency fund is dry powder. When inflation tanks prices, buy quality at discounts like 2022's bargains. Coffee traders hedge currency risk, just as you should diversify globally. Even 20% in foreign markets cushions U.S. inflation shocks. The Colombian peso trick works for you too. Swiss francs historically rise during inflation spikes. Advanced strategies mirror coffee options. Farmers use put options as price insurance. You can buy SPY puts to protect your portfolio. Floating rate notes adjust quarterly. ETFs like FLTR pay more when rates rise. Inflation swaps let institutions exchange fixed for adjustable returns. You can mimic this by shifting bonds to tips and savings to I-bonds. Coffee economics reveal hidden winners. Freeport-McMoran profits from copper price jumps. Mosaic from rising food costs. Caterpillar from infrastructure spending. ESG investments act like fair trade certifications. Sustainable funds lost less in 2022's turbulence. Agtech stocks like Deere & Company help farmers boost yields, just as their smart tools can hedge your portfolio. Farmers calculate true costs including shipping and storage. You must account for taxes and fees. That 8% return becomes 5% after inflation. The key lesson? Farmers think in cycles, knowing bad years end. Stay disciplined. Keep buying through downturns. Time smooths volatility better than timing. Adopt these inflation-aware habits. 1. Automatic I-bond purchases each paycheck. 2. Dividend reinvestment. 3. Monthly rebalancing. 4. 5% minimum in commodities. Coffee farmers don't predict perfectly. They prepare relentlessly. Your portfolio should do the same. Now for the question haunting every investor. Will prices ever truly come down? The answer might surprise you. The new price normal. That $3 latte isn't coming back. The inflation we've seen isn't a temporary spike. It's the new baseline. Here's why your coffee costs will stay high. and how to deal with it without going broke. Price increases used to be temporary shocks, but today's hikes are permanent structural changes. Historical inflation spikes, like the 1970s oil crisis or 2008 recession, permanently reset price floors. What was once a $1.50 coffee became $2.50 overnight and never looked back. Climate change has redrawn the coffee map. Brazil lost 20% of its prime growing land to droughts, while Vietnam's yields dropped 15% from unpredictable weather. These aren't bad harvests, they're the new growing conditions. The beans in your cup now come from a warmer, less productive world. Every hand in the supply chain now costs more. The barista earning $18 per hour won't accept a pay cut when hiring slows. Farm workers who got raises during labor shortages won't return to poverty wages. These costs get baked into your drink permanently. Energy and rent, the silent price drivers, only climb upward. Even when gas prices dip, the underlying costs of extraction and refining keep rising. Your neighborhood cafe's 30% rent hike last year? That's now part of every espresso shot's price tag. Businesses have adapted to our new reality with ruthless efficiency. They know consumers will pay $5 for what cost $3 before, so they focus on justifying the hike rather than reversing it. Limited edition flavors, artisanal packaging, and premium labels become the norm. The psychological shift is complete. Younger generations won't even remember $3 lattes. Their baseline is today's prices. Like our grandparents who reminisced about nickel sodas, we've crossed into a new economic era where old prices feel like ancient history. The irreversible changes. Coffee growing regions permanently altered by climate shifts. Wage increases that never roll back. Commercial leases that only reset upward. Energy costs with long-term upward trajectories. This pattern extends beyond coffee. 1. Shrinkflation, 1-2-10 becomes standard. 2. Premium labels replace actual discounts. 3. Mandatory fees appear, service charges, fuel surcharges. 4. Loyalty programs mask permanent price hikes. Adaptation beats nostalgia. Here's how to thrive when prices won't retreat. Renegotiate your income first. If coffee jumped 30%, your rates should too. Use inflation data in salary talks. My costs rose 20%, my paycheck must follow. Master substitutions. That $6 latte loses appeal when your $2 home brew matches its quality. Apply this everywhere, generics instead of brands, home workouts over gym fees. Reset your price anchors. Compare costs to current wages, not memory. A $5 coffee seems fair at $15 per hour wages, outrageous at $7.25. Your benchmarks need updating. Invest to opt out. A $150 home espresso setup saves thousands versus daily cafe trips. Apply this logic to all recurring expenses, streaming services, meal kits, subscriptions. Convert convenience into cash. The 20-minute coffee run becomes 5 minutes at home. At 15 hours monthly, you've earned hundreds through reclaimed time. Follow generational adaptation. Young consumers build lives expecting higher costs. Their strategies work better than clinging to 1990s price nostalgia. Haggle relentlessly. If businesses permanently raise prices, so should your negotiation intensity. Phone carriers, insurers, and service providers all have hidden flexibility. Prevent rather than repair. A $300 espresso machine beats $1,500 per year in cafe visits. Same logic applies to car maintenance, dental care, or home insulation. Pay now to avoid bigger costs later. Outurn inflation. If prices rose 20%, you need 20% more income just to stand still. Side hustles that outpace inflation matter more than skipping lattes. Quality trumps quantity. The $30 artisan bag that lasts a month beats daily $5 burnt cafe cups. Apply this to shoes, appliances, anything where longevity pays. No true costs. Most don't track coffees per pound price or milks per gallon cost. Learn these numbers to spot real deals versus clever marketing. Pressure for honest metrics. Official inflation numbers often exclude food and energy. Demand realistic measurements that trigger actual wage adjustments. The mental shift is hardest. Letting go of how things were stings, but fighting reality wastes energy better spent adapting. The $5 coffee isn't too expensive. It's simply today's price. Your grandparents complained about nickel sodas. You'll reminisce about $5 lattes to your grandkids. Price baselines always climb. The winners adapt first. The solution isn't deprivation, but strategic acceptance. Enjoy coffee smarter. Earn more rather than consume less. Outpace inflation instead of resisting it. That's how you thrive when nothing gets cheap again.